prom season has once again fallen upon us. Finding the perfect clothes, restaurant, and date all factors into having the best time possible. But as we have seen in the horror genre, you also need to avoid some things. Be on the lookout for psychic killers, wronged students turned into slashers, and the cutthroat drama of being named prom queen or king. While the original Prom Night is hailed as a classic of both the slasher genre and that ridiculous early horror run of Jamie Lee Curtis, there are other movies to watch this time of year. You could put on any of the 4 Carrie entries, which all deal with bullying and psychic powers, or Nightmare on Elm Street, which features a burned-to-death jerk coming back to kill people who wronged them years later. Or you could even throw in any of the middle Hellraiser movies that were just tagged as a sequel to put the series name on it to sell. Or you could watch a movie that incorporates all 3 of those elements. Prom Night 2 isn't just the black sheep of that somehow 4-entry long series. No, it's also secretly one of the best cash-ins, Carrie ripoffs, and Freddy homages you can find. Please come to the gym ceremony where we crown Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2 as the rightful entertaining black sheep it is. Prom Night, starring Jamie Lee Curtis and Leslie Nielsen, among others, was released in July of 1980 during the beginning of the 80s slasher boom.
Prom Night. If you're not back by midnight, you won't be coming home.
It was a success financially for Avco Embassy, making nearly $15 million on its meager $1.5 million budget, but it didn't become a series like many of its contemporary films. At least, not at first, and certainly not originally intended as such. Prom Night is fine and certainly has a legacy, but I find it kind of boring to be honest. I don't love its relatively milquetoast, if not faithful remake, but the sequels, those are fun, especially part 2. Like I said though, the movie didn't originally start that way. The movie was conceived, written, and shot as The Haunting of Hamilton High with plot similarities, the high school's name, and even the tagline being the same as Prom Night, all being purely coincidental. The writer was Ron Oliver, and this was his first screenplay. He absolutely loaded it up with homages to horror movies of the past, both recent and longer, as well as giving names to many of his characters that were pulled out of horror culture, such as Stephen King, Joe Dante, Todd Browning, and Wes Craven. The director chosen was Bruce Pittman, who had done tons of TV shows and made-for-TV movies up to that point, and he'd have a steady career after, even up to productions in 2024. In terms of movies, this would easily be his most famous, at least for horror hounds. But he would direct episodes of the Twilight Zone reboot and the Friday the 13th series too. Unfortunately, when all was said and done, MGM came back at the movie and decided it wasn't good enough for distribution. They wanted changes, so they gave the screenwriter Oliver a bunch of money and little direction to reshoot a ton of the film. He ended up calling Wes Craven, of all people, to ask for advice, and Wes gave him words that wound up basically being the foundations of what horror of the 80s was built off of. Craven said, "Give 'em a scare, give them a hard-on, and send them home." Looking at the elements of what the final product is, well, he took Craven's words to heart. The movie opens in 1957 with Mary Lou Maloney seeing a priest before the prom of Hamilton High takes place. Mary Lou is there with her date Billy, but sneaks off to have sex with another high schooler, because yes, in slasher tradition, most of the actors really don't pass for high schooler. Billy seeks a little harmless revenge, and in the first callback to Carrie, he tries to embarrass Mary Lou after she wins prom queen by dropping a bucket of blood, a stink bomb, on her head. It backfires, literally, as the lit fuse causes Mary Lou's dress to catch fire, and she burns to death in front of the rest of the school. It switches from Carrie to A Nightmare on Elm Street real quick, though, as an angry demon version of Mary Lou is awakened and kills off people that have to do with her death from beyond the grave, nightmare sequences included. We then jump back to a little bit of Carrie when the new main character, Vicky, is shown to be controlled by her overly religious mother.
I'm gonna go to the mall to buy a new dress for the prom.
I still co-sign the checks. Your green one will be just fine.
This causes her to seek a prom dress elsewhere, where she finds a trunk with Mary Lou's cape and crown that was initially meant as her royal garb. This, of course, awakens the evil spirit who wreaks havoc on both the current students as well as her old boyfriend Billy, who is now the school principal and played by Michael Ironside. Ironside is a legend with a voice to match, and is shown up in everything from Scanners to Total Recall to The Machinist and more. Joining Ironside in the cast are Lisa Schrage, Wendy Lyon, Terry Hawks, Louis Ferreira, and John Piper Ferguson. The ladies don't have a ton between them besides The Shape of Water, voices in Sailor Moon properties, and a handful of other TV things. Not to say they didn't have wonderful and steady careers, they just didn't show up in a lot of well-known things, particularly horror. This movie holds their genre legacy quite well, though. Ferreira also shows up in the remake of Dawn of the Dead, Saw 4, and tons of TV runs on stuff like Breaking Bad, Stargate, and Motive. Ferguson might be the most recognizable name outside of Ironside, with appearances in Unforgiven, Stay Tuned, Briscoe County Jr., X-Files, Millennium, and so much more. They all hold a special place in the movie, from their wonderful Canadian accents ranging from subtle to Tim Hortons, and their willingness to go all out. A lot of extra scenes and budget with the reshoots went to the special effects and added kills. It further plays into Carrie and Nightmare on Elm Street vibe with these kills. One of them looks like something Carrie would do by psychically using something to hang someone, but at the same time, that's almost exactly a copy of one of the deaths from Nightmare 1. In a non-death scare, we get a possessed rocking horse that looks almost as scary before possession as it does after, and very much feels like Freddy taking over a landline phone, tongue included. The kills are a bit few and far between, with a body count of only 7, fairly low for a slasher movie, but they mostly get the job done when they do happen. These special effects and stuff like the Whirlpool chalkboard make the movie more memorable than knockoff horror movies found this decade and the next. Eventually, our main girl Vicky is possessed fully by Mary Lou and decides to take out both the people that wronged and killed her in the past and her competition at the current high school. Buddy Cooper, who was the man Mary Lou ditched Billy for at the prom, is now the town priest, and while he finds out what's going on, he's too late and Mary Lou takes him out. One of her school friends confronts her about her attitude, and we're treated to one of the more inventive kills in horror. A fully nude Vicky stalks her friend Monica through the girls' locker room, and Monica hides in one of the lockers. Instead of Vicky pulling her out and using a razor-gloved hand, kitchen knife, or machete, she uses the surrounding lockers to squish Monica into raspberry cobbler. It's wholly unexpected and just gross enough to leave a little something to the imagination.
A wop bobbaloo bop, a wop bam.
The prom kicks off in earnest, and while Kelly tries to get the prom queen election results changed,
put your hands on the keyboard and start entering.
Vicky/Mary Lou electrocute the poor guy through the computer in another good FX showcase. The movie ends by going full Carrie again, with Mary Lou bursting out of Vicky in the final great makeup and FX showcase, which includes a different actress playing the now very burned Mary Lou. Carrie Kruger over here kills some of the prom guests, including Kelly, before stalking Vicky's boyfriend Craig, and is seemingly unstoppable with Billy unable to kill her with bullets. Craig's able to evade her long enough for Billy to present her with the originally intended crown, which seems to be the only way to break the curse. With that curse broken, Vicky is returned to normal and Mary Lou is gone. Billy offers to drive the young couple home, but we get the all too familiar horror twist where Billy is now possessed by Mary Lou, playing her signature music on the car radio and driving away like it's the end of Phantasm 2 or something.
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the Store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
I mentioned earlier the movie being in the same boat as the Hellraiser sequels, where Pinhead shows up for 5 minutes to tie everything together, but this works a lot better. While leaning heavily into other horror movies, especially and specifically the franchises of Nightmare on Elm Street and Carrie, this turning into a Prom Night movie actually changed the trajectory of the series. While movies that wouldn't quite work would continue to get Pinhead thrown in and labeled Hellraiser and also be derided, Mary Lou would show up in 2 additional sequels and continue down the route of the supernatural. Hamilton High would be an important location. We would have a trilogy of movies that have much more to do with each other than they do the original film. Unfortunately, Prom Night 2 would be left underappreciated and underseen due to a lack of physical media and dismal box office, with making only $2.7 million on its $2.5 million budget, but it has started to make a comeback. You can watch it on borderline VHS quality, though uncensored, on Tubi, and Joe Bob hosted it on the last drive-in with its better quality and lots of insights. Later this year in 2025, we're getting treated to a complete upgrade courtesy of Synapse, which further cements that we need these boutique labels to continue to rescue movies who may be unknown or just unloved by time. A great new 4K release and some special features will hopefully lead to the whole sequel series getting the same treatment, which this movie and series deserve wholeheartedly. It's way more fun and cheesier than it has any right to be, and is endlessly rewatchable. This prom season, don't vote for Carrie or the original slasher, and instead say hello to Mary Lou, the true prom queen of the series.
Oh, God bless America. You shit!
So I developed the guacamole radio, but that was no good. All I could pick up was stations in Mexico.
Dear God.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.